Hello everybody, welcome back to my studio. My name is Natifa and I am going to just walk you guys through how I am using the new Tim Holtz Distress Watercolor pencils. As you guys know, this was just recently released and they're amazing. I love that they have all kind of similar color palettes in all three sets. So if you purchase just one set, you can kind of have all the colors. But I'm just going to walk you through things that I'm going to use to kind of create what I'm going to create. So I hope you will stick around and see how I create, how I'm going to create with these. Okay? Okay, so if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I love to create little tag stacks. I call them little taggy stacks. I think they're just super fun to make and to create. So I'm going to create a tag stack today. And some of the things that I love to use that I'm going to use today is I'm going to use this. This is one of the vintage photos from Tim's new, well, I don't think it's really new, but it's one of the Ideology vintage photos. I'm going to use some of these flashcards. And I think the engravings are perfect to be colored with the watercolor pencils. And so I'm going to use some of those. And I'll show you how I'm going to color these. And then I just have some Distress Craft Heavy Stock here. And I'm going to use that to create I'm going to create a tag out of it because I just really think that, let me go up a little bit. I just really think that, the craft and the way that it shows up, the way the watercolor pencils show up on craft paper is intensely delicious. And I think it's amazing. So I'm going to use some of this. And then I also have just some of the worn wallpaper scraps that I'm going to use for the backings of my craft and my other images that I'm using. So this is the whole entire stack of the engravings. And I think, again, these are the watercolor pencils with these are perfect because you can just color these and they come out really amazing. And I will show you again how I do that. And then I have some other little just like scraps of craft paper that I'm going to kind of do whatever I'm doing with my stack here. Okay. Okay. Just turn the lights down a little bit. It's a little bit bright. So I want to get organized a little bit. So let me try to organize myself. So when it comes to actually using these on substrates that kind of have that little sheen, like a lot of all of these have that little sheen. They're glossy. And so using watercolor pencils on these are not necessarily going to work on its own. And so when I'm using these, I love to alter them. I think just altering these are like the best. And I, again, have found that in my test runs, these watercolor pencils are yummy. Like here's an example. So I've kind of created these like that, and it works. It just totally works. So I'm going to show you how I created these to kind of get the watercolor pencils on them. Okay. All right. So what I typically use is I use clear gesso. If you follow me again on Instagram, you know that this is something that I use a lot, and I love clear gesso. I don't know why it's not focusing here for me, but there we go. And the reason why I love to use clear gesso is because it just gives your pencils, the watercolor pencil, something to kind of grab onto. And so it dries clear. It's like really perfect, and there's no like shenanigans with it. So I'll show you. So all I'm going to do first is I'm going to just gesso these. So the stack I'm going to make is kind of like for a friend. I'm sending these to a friend, and I love these because it's a way for you to kind of storytell. I think it's really great to kind of like storytell with these. So I'm going to cut out a tag first. Actually, I'm going to gesso these first so they can dry. So I'm going to gesso all of my shiny surfaces just so that they can start drying, and then I'll kind of go from there and do whatever. So again, it's just clear gesso. I'm just using a regular brush with water. I have my water jug here or whatever. And I'm going to use a soft brush. You want to use a soft brush with the gesso because you don't want like it to kind of be really scratchy when you're using these. So, so yeah. And I'm just going to put a little bit on here. Just a little dot on there, as you can see. There we go. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of paint this over the entire thing, because right now I don't know how I want to, what part of this photo I want to color. I know definitely the actual people in the photo, because this is a friendship Taggie stack, and I think that is perfect for giving to a friend. So I'm going to do that. I don't know if you can see, but it's essentially it's covered the entire area here. So if you want to kind of go this way a little bit to get more even. I like that. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on this lady. Just cover the entire thing with gesso. If you guys hear any cars, I'm sorry. I don't know why it's like at nighttime, my neighborhood gets super duper loud. For some reason, I'm hearing trains. I'm hearing like cars, like motorcycles, like racing on the street. I'm like, what are y'all doing outside? Like, go to bed. I'm trying to film something. Okay. So we're going to have this one over here. We can let her dry. I'm going to use this fish. I just think it's really hilarious. So I'm going to use it. So I think it's really funny. So I'm going to add some gesso to that. Let it dry. And then I'm going to add these. So these are double-sided. And I'm only going to I only want the belong because, again, it's for a friend. And I want that friend to feel like they belong somewhere. Oh, you know what I was going to do? Maybe I'll do on the other one. So I'm going to just paint the entire thing with gesso. And then I'll show you what I want to do with the other one. I'm going to grab some stuff here and show you. So I'm going to put this over here. Now for this one, this is where it says this is the friend. So I'm kind of using this as like friend and kind of, you know, whatever. On the back side of this one, it says family. So I may leave this like this and just use this as a place to write a note to my friend. But I want to do something different here. So I'm probably going to just stamp over here, and then I'm going to cover that with gesso, and then I will be able to add some color. So let me grab a stamp to use on this. Okay, so I've grabbed my floral element stamp. This one right here. And then I've also grabbed, and it's all falling out. I need to wash these so they can stick back to the backing of this thing. And then I also grab the floral outlines set in case I want to use this one too. So there's that. So I don't know which one I'm going to use yet, but for this one, I guess we can try and see which one will look the best, if we want to use one of these or a smaller one. I kind of feel like I want to use one of these ones. I'm going to use this one. And grab an ink pad. All right, so I'm going to use my Distress Archival ink, waterproof, this is just perfect for this to kind of stamp. So if you guys see me kind of going back and forth, I'm filming on my phone as well. So I have to kind of make sure my phone sees what the heck I'm doing, because I'm trying to do this. There's just a lot going on right now in the studio. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this. I'm going to do this one right here. Maybe I want to do this side. Yeah, I'll do this side. Meh, what do we think? No, I don't like that one anymore. I changed my mind. We'll do this one. Kind of bigger. Okay. So I'm just gonna, oh, sorry, my table's squeaky as well. Okay, and I'm just going to stamp this kind of in a way that's here. Okay, that's cute. Let's just do around the whole entire thing so it's kind of different. Then, there we go. We want to do the side again. Oops. Uh-oh, I think I smeared it on that side. That's okay. And kind of like that. And we'll leave it as that. So now we have this right here. You see that going on? So we'll let that dry a little bit. Let me use my heat tool and let it dry a little bit. And then afterwards, we're just going to gesso this down. Okay. So I think this is dry. All right, so now that that's dry, I'm gonna just gesso it a little bit. My brush. So essentially what this is doing now is that it's just kind of sealing the ink onto the paper. Even though it's like waterproof, it's just sort of like sealing it, so it won't not. You can color on top of it now, and nothing will happen to it. So there's that. All right, so I think that's what I'm going to use for my stack. So I have this. I need to do, let's say I'm going to do a thing on the back, a tag. I have this. I'll have this. I'll have this, and I have the little fishy. Perfect. Okay. While these are still drying, I'm going to cut my tag out, and I'm going to actually stamp it. So let's just cut this out. What's happening? Meep, meep, meep. Maybe I'll stamp it. I don't know. I kind of want to just do a color palette on it. So I like that a lot. There's that. Oops. Okay, my table's getting too crowded for my liking right now, so this away. I don't know. All right, so I'm gonna go this way, kind of like this. See? Then I'm gonna go like this. And we'll have this one. I kind of want this longer. So we have a longer thing here. This one, and we have this, and we have this. This is, I'm gonna cut this one down. Just to give it a little bit of, there we go. It's got a little bit of, it's shorter now, so it's kind of cool. And then we'll do friends, and then we'll do the fishy. I think that will work. This is not dry though. But I do want to add something on the back of this, so that's why I have my little papers. And I'm just going to add this on here. Because oops. So there we go. Okay, so I think I'm going to color this one first, or I'm going to do my color palette first, and then I will go from there. So let's see, what colors do I want to use? Let's open this up and see. Colors are beautiful. I will say one of the things that I actually did, one of the first things that I did was to create like a little color palette sheet, because I wanted to see what colors would be really beautiful on craft paper. And so I'm looking at against my wall. I have that already against my wall. And I love the way that Crackling Campfire looks on this. And so I'm going to use Crackling Campfire. I'm going to use Tumble Glass, and let's see, maybe Kitsch Flamingo. Let me see, I'm gonna start doing this. I think I want to draw these out as, how do I want to do this? I think I'll just do it this way. So I'm just coloring this, square, and I'll just kind of swoosh it out that way. So I'm going to do this one. This is Tumbled Glass. And I would tell you guys, honestly, I use crayons that are like, I've used super expensive crayons like the Neo Colors, and I have never experienced the way that it turns out on my craft paper. Like, I don't know what is in these pencils, but the way they come out on craft paper It's like the most delicious things I've ever seen. It's like a true oxide, and I don't know how they did it, but it's so beautiful. I love it. I just love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. It's really, really beautiful. So um, I'm gonna do that. So again, sorry my table's squeaking a whole lot here, but let me just go in here and wash the gesso off my brush so I can use it to paint. So I'm just gonna go in here with this and just kind of paint a little bit. I want my inks to come out this way. And so all I did was just add more water towards the edge here. And I love the way that, I just love that color on craft paper. It's so beautiful. And so you guys will see how this turns out. Like it kind of, I don't know, it just oxidizes for, it's weird. I don't know how it does it, but it does it. And it's one of the most beautiful things I've seen. I mean, I love oxides anyways, but to see how this like does it, I don't know what it does, but it's beautiful. I could probably use more color here for the tumble glass. Go back in there and just add more. I'm going to add some more over here. Cool. So I'm just going to let this dry. I'm gonna need to add some more tumble glass. Let's just let it dry. I always just let it dry, and you'll see what happens. I don't know what's gonna happen, but from what I've seen on craft paper, on craft cardstock, it's beautiful. So I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit. I've put it to the side and just let it do its thing, and I'm gonna move on. So now I'm gonna start coloring these. So I want to just do something kind of fun on this one, and just sort of like maybe just some polka dots or just something or another. So I'm gonna see what color I want to use on this. So this is sort of a vibrant kind of I guess stack. So I think I'm gonna go with the maybe seedless preserves. Maybe it's kind of yummy looking. So I'm just essentially just taking this and just coloring little dots or whatever on my paper. So, and again, this has been gessoed with clear gesso. And so that's how you're going to get color to stay on your flashcards. And so it's like super great for like mixed media and mark making because it's obviously water soluble. So that makes just really, makes it really cool like that. But you can, do all these different marks and stuff if you want. But then when you add water to it, it just creates this like really, really beautiful mark for you. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna go around here and just sort of color the edges a little bit so that I can just add some stuff to it. So let's see here. Okay. And I'm going to use a water brush only because I'm too lazy to get up to get my other brush. But I would encourage you to use a brush that has like a pointed tip, kind of like that. To kind of use that. So that's what I'm going to use here, and I'm just going to sort of color it, and it just colors. Let me come down so you can see what I'm doing a little bit here. But you can just color it, and it'll just do what it needs to do, and it'll stay on there and create something really, really pretty for you. So it's great for that. So if you want to blot this up to create just like a little, whatever you can. But I think it's just fun to kind of add just little colors onto a flashcard and just make it more, I wouldn't say this is like vintagey. This is kind of like a just mixed media type stuff. But I always love to do like vintage modern type stuff. So it's kind of a mixture of both. Like I love color, but I also love vintage, and I tend to call it vintage fiesta. And so this is kind of my vintage fiesta of it. So yeah. All right, let's see here. And then I'm just gonna go around over here and just do the edges a little bit. I don't want it to be too perfect though, so let's mess this up a little bit. We don't want perfection here. No perfection here, please. Mess this up a little bit. Just get in there and just move your pencil, your ink, your watercolors around a little bit, so it's not as perfect. So in a way, I guess it's kind of creating just like a little stain on it, you know? So that's kind of what it is. And so if you imagine if you were doing some mixed media stuff a little bit, it just creates a little stain. If you can even do like, you know, I wonder what it would look like. I'm going to try it on the other one. Like brown would be super pretty, but look at this yumminess over here. Do you see this part right here? How beautiful that is. Do you see that? So good. I want to do some more. Let's just add more color, more water to this, and just let it run into this and see what it creates. So it's not as perfect. I love it. Cool beans. Okay, so what I want to do next is I want to add some white onto the letters. So I'm just going to grab the white. Let me go back up a little bit. I'm just going to grab the white pencil here, and I'm going to sharpen this because I want it to be a little bit sharp. So, oh, that looks so yummy. Oh my goodness, I cannot stand it. It looks so good. Come on. Oh my goodness. All right, so I'm using the Prismacolor. This is what Tim showed us to use. It was the Prismacolor pencil sharpener just to sharpen this, and all my shavings just came out. But that's okay. Ooh, I want to do that. Put that over to the side because we're going to keep that because we have learned that we can use a palette and create some watercolors for later on. So I'm going to just do this, and I'm just going to do little dots on here. Do you see what happened? Like when I lifted it up, it kind of ran. Oh, that is so yummy to me. Oh my gosh, I love it. So little dots on here. So that's the other thing I love is like when you sharpen these, it just turns into like a mixed media like pencil you can use, and it's awesome. I love it. So if you're ever like looking for a water soluble like white pencil, you have one right here at your fingertips. At your fingertips. It's wet. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry a little bit. I'm gonna speed it up because I'm being impatient and I want this to dry. All right, that's good enough. So we have this, it's a little warm, but we have it. And I just love how that turned out. And so you can change the entire face of your flashcards. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to actually put something on the back of this because I want to use it as like a place to write. So here is currently what our pencil looks like on the craft paper. Do you see this? Like, what is this? I don't even know how this happens, but it's so yummy to me and it's just delicious. I love the way it looks on craft paper. It's just, it oxidizes. I don't know how it happens. Like, it's so beautiful. I love it. I just love it. Love it, love it, love it so much. So we'll keep that there. All right, so I'm gonna put this on here. See if it'll fit. It barely fits, but we'll do it. So I want to try something else and see what happens when I do that. I want to go this way actually. So this is just a regular tape runner that I typically use for my projects. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab a little inky roller and just roll this out so that it's on there decently, and I'm going to cut this out. Again, oops. Okay, so we have that. So the other thing you can do now is you can use your pencil, which again is one of the things I love, is that you can use your pencil. Let me empty this out, my shavings. You can use your pencil now as a way to write, you know, if you want to put like a little sentiment. So I'm going to sharpen this to get a point. So do you see this? So now I have a point, and I'm just going to write on here. I think I'm going to have it go this way, actually, along this way. And I'm just going to write something really just sweet to my friend. Okay. But what I want to do even more, and I hope this works because I want to kind of mess it up a little bit. So again, because it's a watercolor pencil, you can just sort of like go over a little bit and just like a kind of dry brush it to kind of just like mess it up. You want to just mess it up a little bit. So I'm just going to wet my brush a little bit and just sort of go So it's not so perfect, right? And so it kind of deepens the color a little bit when you do that, and kind of messes it up a little bit for you. And that smudge creates just this really beautiful effect, I think. And you can go even heavier if you want, I guess. But it's not so perfect. It's just, and if you want to go around it with some more, like, you know, black or whatever, you can. So that's what I mean when I say it's like, it's really perfect to use for like mixed media layouts when you're doing your journaling or whatever you're doing. It's just, you can use them, you know? So I really love that part. So let's see what it looks like this when you kind of, so you see how it's just like kind of faded and just like you smudged it a little bit, like a little bit. I don't know. I love it. I don't know about you, but I love it. And I'm going to let this go out a little bit because the paper is wrinkling, but I don't mind that too much. So that's the first part we have now. So we have our tag, our background tag here, and I'm going to dry this some. To smooth it out. And then we have that, and I want to use a Sharpie just to write the colors on it because I love it. So I love it because so let's see, we had crackling, campfire, we had tumble glass, and we had kitsch, flamingo, and I just wrote beautiful colors at the top just for funsies. Okay. All right, so we have these. I have this one. Now we're going to just color. I just want to color the outfits here. That's what's next. Is it? No, this one goes next. This one goes here, then it goes here. Okay, so I'm going to color this. Now what color should we use for this one? Put these back where they belong. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to keep these in the tins, but I don't think that's going to ever work for me. So let me just not try to even do that. So, sorry, my camera turned off. But so I'm just going to add colors to the areas that I want to. So you can even see at this point, you can leave it like this, and it can be just you're adding color to your to this the engravings image, and it's fine. It works just as well. But if you want to, you know, make this like more fluid, you can add water to it, and it's going to turn into like a watercolor painting as well. So if I wanted to add some color to this, you know, and wet it, I'm just going to go in here, make sure I don't have any additional colors on here, and I'm just going to, let me come down a little bit. I'm just going to take my brush with a little bit of water and water on it, and I'm just going to go through and just color that. And because it's a watercolor pencil, it's gonna turn into watercolors for you, right? So just super beautiful. And the colors become a little bit more intense on here. Like that. Or it can look like, you know, a true like engraving that has, that color's been added to. Kind of like, you know, on letterpress, like when you're doing a letterpress or whatever, and it goes through the machine. Kind of like that. So here's what we have so far. And when this dries, it'll just stay there. So you can even add like a little bit of blush to, let's say, you know, you wanted to add some blush to her cheeks or something like that. You can. Again, with the pencil by itself, or if you want to wet it, you wanted to wet this and just add some more color. I mean, this is really kind of like, that was Tattered Rose, but I don't know if it's more rosy than anything else. And so you can kind of dab it a little bit too, just to add some color to her cheeky cheeks. And you can always go back in there. Like, there's no harm. I think that was too light. Let's add some, like, we're going to go in here with this color, I think. Some Kitsch Flamingo. And just sort of add some color. So I haven't used this on paper dolls yet, but I imagine the same thing would happen if you use some gesso on paper dolls. Same thing, right? Okay. I need some vibrancy on here. Candied apple. No, maybe let's use peacock feathers on her bow and her hat over here. Cool. And it doesn't have to be perfect, like, at all. Like, you know, who cares if it's perfect or not? Like, look at that. It's just whatever. Okay, so there's this one. I'm going to let this dry. So now we're building our layers. We have these 3. Next, I'm going to just color. I just want to color some of their outfits. I want to do, maybe I'll use peeled paint for her skirt. But again, I mean, like, look at this. Like, I would not have been able to color this before like this. Like, do you see this? It's just, I love it. I love that. Now I can add color to her skirt. I can, you know, do her shirt if I wanted to, which I think I am going to do. But for pants, faded jeans. Come on, faded jeans on the jeans. Yes, sir. Let's do that. And I don't have to add watercolor to this water to this if I don't want to. It's like it's like a color pencil. You know what I mean? Which is fantastic. But if I want to just show all the crease in here, I can do that, which I think is amazing. Look at that. Look how vibrant. I mean, come on. Really? Come on. Okay. Let's try this and see what happens if we can see all of the different creases and stuff in here, which would be delicious. You know, one thing I would tell you guys that I noticed when I was an adult is that I have a serious problem coloring within the lines. It's so hard for me. It's so hard for me to do it. I don't know why, but for the life of me, I cannot color inside the lines. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay. Shirt, I think I'm going to go with maybe a light pink. Where is that Kitsch Flamingo at? Over here. Is this dry? No. Make sure I color this in a way that I don't go outside the lines. It's kind of light, you can't really see it, but that's okay. And I think I want to leave the shirt, I'm going to leave the shirt that color it is right now. And just do the pink shirt on her over here. Love it. And then I'm going to do her socks because, yes, please, we need some fancy socks. Crushed olive. I'll do her socks in the same color as the shirt. Color their cheeks. I'm saying they're friends. I don't know if they're really friends or not, but in this situation, in this story that I'm telling, these are friends. These are homies. Okay. So we have this image colored. I just love that so much. Oh my goodness. And then if you wanted to like go around and do the background, you could. I'm not going to, but I think you could do that. All right, so there's that one. And then the other one we have is the friend. And I stamped this. So let's see what happens when I color this around. Because we didn't do this. So I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to follow the outlines here of the flower. Let me come down a little bit. Of the flower so you can see. I may need to sharpen this. Okay, I'm just going to take a water brush and just kind of go over these and just see what happens. I'm not necessarily painting it, I'm just sort of outlining it with my water brush now that I've done. My pencil outlines. Okay, and then the last thing that I have, I think, is my fishy. And then we'll be done. So my fishy is going to be a very vibrant color. What do we want to use? Let's see. Should we use, I think I'm going to use fossilized amber. Maybe that and spice marmalade together. We'll just sort of do an ombre-ish color, maybe. I don't know. So I'm coloring my fish right now. And I'll do like an orange towards the tail end here. And then I'll do that in a minute. All of the rest of it is going to be like a pink. Let's just see what happens here. Uh-oh. I don't want to color his eyeballs. Okay. We're just going to wipe this other one up a little bit. And we're going to color these guys a little bit of pink for some contrast. And I'm just going to color close to the belly of the fish and close to the edge, and I'll use water to kind of feather it out a little bit. Cool beans. And always remember, you can always go back in there and, bump up your color if you want to add more color to it. You don't have to keep it the way that I've kept it. I'm going to use my heat gun to dry these up. Oops. Look at that. I love it. Look how cute it is. Aww. I think I want to add some yellow on this one a little bit. Yeah. Right there is good. Okay. So I think just like some walnut stain around this one might be really good. Just to kind of give it a bit of a border. So again, you can use this as a coloring pencil, but it's also it's water soluble so that you can do these. So I would say that's kind of like my favorite thing about it is that, you know, the obviously on craft paper, I think it's delicious. I think it's just super yummy. So craft paper, and this is craft cardstock. I just used that with some crackling campfire, tumble glass, and kitsch flamingo. And this is what it looks like on craft. It oxidizes for it, I don't know how it does it, but it oxidizes for some reason, and it just comes out really beautiful. Then we created using a flashcard. We gessoed this over with clear gesso, and then we just made some dots and used the watercolor with the watercolor pencils and added water to it. And this is what we got, just something really, really unique and pretty, if you ask me. On the back side of this, we just added some worn wallpaper scraps, and we used our pencil to write a message out to our friend, and we used some water just to kind of smudge it, again, just with the watercolor pencils. So I wanted this one. Under this one is one of the engravings. I gessoed this with clear gesso, and I used the watercolor pencils again. I mean, they're just so like versatile, you know. Use that on here to color this. Added some water if I want, because I wanted to. Put that on top of this. I wanted to go this way, on this way. And then this is one of the vintage photos. I gessoed this, and I used the watercolor pencils to color the clothing of the folks in the photo. And then I used this to, I stamped on this first, and then I clear gessoed it, and I used the watercolor pencils on top of this to add some, just some fun images and stuff to it. And I did some watercolor pencils around it to kind of give it a little bit more of a vintagey look. And that's what I did there, that one. And then the last thing for our stack is our little fishy, and he was gessoed as well. And I'm just going to put it on top here. Now I'm going to punch a hole in these, in each of these. Okay, so then we can stack this now. So it was this one, didn't belong. And we had this, and we had this, and then we had this. All right, so all I need is just a little bit of a string. Alrighty. I think we're in business, so I think we're not in business yet. We gotta give a little bit more of a give. I need to get something that's gonna hold all of my tags on a little ring. There we go. So here we go. You can see that we have our little tag. There. There. Along. This one. Our friend. This. And this. And when you put them all together, you get a fun little tag that you can give to your friend. Just tie a bow up here. There you go. Alrighty, guys. So hopefully that was entertaining, if nothing else. I hope that you got a chance to see how I'm gonna use the watercolor pencils. They are fantastic. I just really enjoy using them. So hopefully that helps you understand how I will use these in the future. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thanks.